Hey everyone, Nick Engvall here. Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about some of the things we've got going on in the sneaker history community and about some of our partners here on the podcast. Sneakers are all about presentation, and if you're like me, displaying your kicks at home or in the office is just as important as when they're on your feet. Sneaker Throne makes sneaker display cases featuring customizable LED lights, drop side cases that showcase the entire side of the shoe, not just the heel or the toe. And they've also got display cases for trading card collectors and hat collectors. To me, it's the perfect way to display your collection. You can save at least 10% on your Sneaker Throne order by using the code HISTORY at sneakerthrone.com. That's code HISTORY at sneakerthrone.com. If you're a Patreon supporter or a member of our Discord community, you already know about Kicks with V hot sauce and his small batch, locally sourced hot sauce. V has been one of the biggest supporters of the Sneaker History podcast since the early days, and he's currently the defending champion in our community trivia nights competition. Kicks with V hot sauce has been a huge hit with the community, and you can save 10% on your order by using the code SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. That's SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. Now, you're probably here because you like sneakers, and you're in the right place. But when you join our Discord, you'll know our community is about so much more than that. Whether it's the marathon-like community calls, trivia night debates, the in-person meetups, or just sharing our favorite experiences, we found that although we have such different backgrounds, we all have some unexpected shared passions. Not only does the entire community look out for each other when it comes to sneaker releases, we're like a support group for life in general. You can join the Discord community for free by heading to the show notes of this episode. Now let's get into today's show.
Welcome to another episode of the Sneaker History Podcast. I'm going to start today's episode with a random question. If you could be an Infinity Stone, what stone would you be? Hit us, Rohit.
I would be the Space Stone because I take up so much space. And speaking of taking up so much space, listener, this is the third time we've tried. So truly, I've spoken this into existence because the sheer amount of space in terms of the recording. And my second answer would be the actual gauntlet itself that Robbie is currently giving me the finger as in, like, wrap it up, B. So I will be wrapping it up. Mike, what are we thinking?
It's funny because I have the similar, reason for my choice. I'm going to choose Reality Stone because it's feel like I'm in a loop at this point for doing this a third time in a row. So, Robbie,
listeners, there's
God damn it,
million versions of this intro. This is the only one that's worked.
Only one.
Doctor Strange, just one.
And Nick Engvall got snapped away. That's why he's not here.
We love you, Nick. Where you at?
This all started because I keep this Infinity Gauntlet Lego next to my desk at all times, and I keep it with the middle finger at all times just to remind myself I'm not even in charge. Maybe ask, I'm going to be the Power Stone, personally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fire beams, but a great Lego build if you're looking for a small desk piece. The Infinity Gauntlet is a very nice Lego build.
That's pretty cool.
I may have gifted that to my brother-in-law once he graduated high school, so great.
That's
It's a good move. It's a good one. I wanted to start the episode with some little bit light and airy because a lot of people probably aren't going to like the main topic today, but it's a conversation worth happening because it is sneaker history when a potentially brand new thing is happening. So we'll be talking more on that in a moment here. But Mike, do you want to start us off with some rockin' and coppin'?
Yes, sir, I will. So my rockin' is going to be my Cloud Monsters, on Cloud Monsters. Been trying to get my behind up and running some more again because I got lazy all of a sudden. Love this shoe. Best runner I put my foot in a long time. Popping is going to be the Jordan 8 Playoff. I would hope that I can get a pair of those. I feel like there should be a million of them floating around, so we'll see. And that's what I got right now. Maybe a Power Ranger Master Morpher if Hasbro does not try to take every dollar out of my pocket for it. So that's for my nerds out there.
For your woes.
What you got, Ryan?
Honestly, I was going to go nerds over everything.
What are you rocking and copping, man?
So what I am popping, hopefully, would be those J Balvin 3s. Those are pretty nice. What I'll be rocking in about 30 minutes or so, there is a soccer cleat, the Tampa Legend 10, and they came out with a Protoro all-white colorway, which I think was a homage to the Kobe Bryant Protoro 8. But the thing that was interesting to me was, for such a hypebeast pedigree, there was no mention of it on sneakers, and it was a very easy cop directly off .com. So that's what
the one with the specs all over it? Like it looks like the blueprints with all white?
Yes.
I love that cleat.
Apparently, there's only 5,000 of them, so then I can still say, I'm still a collector. Speaking of Marvel.
Wear them out,
but at
bro.
the same time, yeah, it's also one of those things that's very breathtaking in person, so I don't know if I want to muddy it up and sully it up with some hooligans that I play pickup with. But yeah, great shoe. That's what I'm rocking. That's what I'm copping. Robbie, how about you?
Double up, man. If they're just sitting there and no one's taking advantage of it, buy one to collect and buy one to rock. One for the desk, one for the pitch.
Pitch, please.
Pitch perfect.
Yes.
No, I've had the flu all week, so I really haven't worn any shoes. So I'm going to take it back to what I wore when I was sick. I'm pretty sure the Seattle Mariners games got me sick. But I wore the ES22, the Emmitt Smith Retro, and I chose to bring these back out and show you guys because these shoes at a Seattle Mariners game got so much love from people. And what's funny is no one knew what they were. I think only one person said got the shoe right. They were naming every other football player. They were just getting it completely wrong, or they were just being really anecdotal, oh, my friend had those growing up, or because a lot of alcohol was flowing, so people started just talking their truths as they saw the ES22s, and this hilarity ensued. Every time someone tapped me on the shoulder, and was talk about my shoes, it's oh, those are those the Warren Sapps? No.
So it's funny you mention Emmitt Smith because on the way back from New York, we were flying Delta, and Delta has a pretty decent video library now. Your boy watched Little Giants, and who should happen to pop up on my screen but one Emmitt Smith? And it was one of those things where I'm like, that's a movie that's kind of gotten lost in the annals of the golden era of 90s kid sports movies. But whenever we decide to do another film club, maybe next summer, I'm willing to bring that up and making that a watch-along for all of sneaker history for the lulls and the hot 90s fashion.
I miss
That'd be a good one. And, speaking of 90s, these are more 1980s, but a 90s kid, I feel would be wearing this shoe. For Coppin, we got here the undefeated Converse Weapon. I traded out the cream laces for the green laces because I was just sick on the couch yesterday and bored. Loving the shoe. Very big, maybe a Green Bay Packers fan in 91 would be wearing these. I don't know. But they have the undefeated Play Dirty branding on the Y bar on the medial side. Undefeated branding here. Just a super clean. I love weapons. It's not my third pair of weapons I've had. Big fan of weapons, man. You can buy these now. There's the New York pair celebrating the opening of their flagship store for the first time in New York. That's in white and gray, coming out soon. The white and green you can buy now. Go cop that.
Those are clean. I need to get a pair of weapons. I haven't had a pair since, I don't know.
So very small tangent. They are built very similarly to a Jordan 1, but if the Jordan 1 just didn't work out for 6 months and gained 40 pounds, you would have the feel Jordan of the 1. Weapon. It is just everything about it is puffier. The toe box feels more rounded. It's very comfortable. It's way more grippy. These are deep grooves, kind of like a boot. I don't still see how this was good for basketball. It's just so, I don't know if it's the same outsole, but it's way more boot-like than a Jordan 1 tread. But it's just puffy, man. It's big and puffy, but it fits very, very much like a Jordan 1.
Okay. Interesting.
Anywho, speaking of new things, different things, man, Kyrie went ahead and had his debut as I think, is it creative officer or creative director? He has some particular title. But as the man at Anta. And I stumbled across the video feed a couple days ago when I was scrolling. And I don't have any other way to describe it other than it had me captivated. I want to start the conversation that way. There's a little bit of insight here. There's a particular shoe he's going to be wearing until his signature line comes out. Okay, I just want to say I was interested, and if you saw him, black suit, T-shirt, kind of Uncle Phil vibes, and his debut, but a Native American twist on it, a black Native American fun Phil Knight. I don't know, but it's the suit with the sneakers and the T-shirt underneath with his own logo. Gave me big Uncle Phil vibes. I'm gonna shut up for a second.
When you say big Uncle Phil vibes, I think of another.
I was thinking straight Fresh Prince at first.
Poignant blank.
No,
I'm thinking more Philip Banks.
I'm thinking more. I recognize.
No, colloquially, Uncle Phil Knight of One Nike fame. But that's hilarious. I know. Of course, Uncle Phil's black already. What do you mean? Uncle Phil?
Well, that's what keyed me in. Like, oh, he means Phil Knight because clearly.
Yeah, I think to certain demographics across the world, that's a great heads or tails discussion of who's the real Uncle Phil and
That's
show
not a
your work.
question. That's not a question. I'm sorry. Like,
But no, I mean, no. Now that you know what Phil I'm talking about, Uncle Phil.
I pictured the picture.
Do you not kind of see? Were you interested? I'll give the floor to you guys. But I was just interested. I was captivated, and I was like, "It's a little Uncle Phil."
So that wasn't my first thought, but now that's all I can see after hearing it. My first thought was that, and it sounds crazy. This is that he actually looked genuinely excited to be there. Looking at some of the old Nike stuff, I mean, clearly he was excited to have his own signature line with Nike when he was there. But something about this, he just seemed like almost like more like loose, like very excited to be there. Really, just like not because Kyrie always seemed like when it was like those press releases and stuff with Nike, those press tours, seemed kind of uptight. But here he was just kind of like playing around in like the little tent thing, whatever it was, the all that stuff. He just looked like he was having a good time there. And if you listen to him talking about the shoe he's wearing, was it the Shockwave 5? He was throwing like subtle jabs at Nike if you listen to that. Like some of those kind of undercover like backhand things like, oh, this is premium technology. This is like basically the best thing I've ever worn. I know he had to say that, but just the way it was just kind of coming off almost was kind of like, yeah, this is better than my stuff I had before.
Yep. No, a common trope that I've been talking about recently on this series is winning the press conference, winning the game. He won the press conference. We're talking about it. There does seem to be a unchained aspect about it. I mean, Mike, the analogy I've always used with Kyrie, especially in the later Nike promotional materials, is a kid that is wearing a suit, taking a photo at a wedding. Like, he can't wait to rip that off, wear a t-shirt, and play Minecraft. And now he truly has the creativity at his thing, and that's what it's supposed to be because per his title, he's the chief creative officer for Anta. And I think about that video that you both shared with me, the infamous Uncle Phil video, but even the factory tour walk that he did, where he was also just kind of seemingly in his element in a way that we haven't seen before. And granted, it's one of those things, the other analogy I use, and maybe I keep going back to this metaphor because Kyrie to me always has had this little kid energy, and a little kid sometimes the thing he or she covets most is getting out of the shadow of their bigger sibling. And the thing with Nike is whenever you're a Nike athlete, the swoosh always comes first. It's a Nike signature shoe. This is that rare dynamic flip where it's a Kyrie shoe that Anta made. So that's going to be very interesting to see because if there's one thing little brothers and little sisters like, it's being a big brother to somebody else. And that's what the energy I'm getting off this video.
Yeah.
Precisely. Mike, you saying how it felt very like much looser. I wholly agree about that. Even in his press conference when he was describing the tech and it catered to his game, there was like the cater to his game speech, which every brand uses to describe any signature shoe of any sport. Because no shit, Sherlock, it's catered to the person debuting the shoe. But there was like no PR rehearsal feel behind that interview. Obviously, it's everything in China tends to be presented as very buttoned up. And I feel like this was him even sliding in there, ear to the ground. That's a saying we use in America, or an ear to the street. It's like him even having, and I could tell, I watched it 4 times. He then remembered to say, in America, we had this saying. He's comfortable. He's just like going off. He's riffing, which a lot of brands don't like, a lot of leagues don't like, a lot of things don't like.
Yeah, but it's indicative of who he is as a basketball player as well. Kyrie is best suited when you essentially allow him to freestyle or improvise. And it is that media training that is now washed off of him. And the thing that's going to be really interesting is he having to police himself as opposed to having an external person kind of being like, Kyrie, don't forget to mention this aspect of the shoe, or don't forget to mention that aspect of the shoe. To your point, Robbie, and I kind of chatted with Mike about this while you were kind of figuring out some of the back end stuff of this episode. The shoe, to me, almost feels like I would say a sibling of the Curry line from the Under Armour. And Mike, like, you and I were chatting about this. Does that feel warranted? Because I think if there's a signature shoe and a signature athlete to compare Kyrie's playing style to, it may be Steph in terms of how their handle dictates every aspect of their game.
Yeah, and I can agree with you. Showing like the shoe you showed me, first of all, I didn't know it even existed. I think both of us were in kind of the same boat. They're like, huh, they didn't even know this was a thing. But with that low top, that kind of aggressive look is definitely there's some shared idea behind it because again, they're going to be if you can compare a few players in the league, it's not far off to compare Steph and Kyrie in a sense of how they flow when they play. Uh, really, I've even heard people say like Kyrie doesn't really go in for like he's not really going in to study the person he's guarding. He just flows based on how the game is going, and the way that shoe is, that way it's built. Even though this is not his signature, I think this shoe makes a lot of sense for him. And listeners, we had a hot take in our text message thread before we started, and I honestly think this is a better looking shoe than any of his Nike stuff. Now, I'm not saying performance-wise because I think that the Kyrie line performed well. I love this one of my favorite lines to play in. But visually, just first look, being able to see it, I love the way this shoe looks far more than what Nike has put out with him. And it seems like there's so much more that can be done in like different colorways, the stories that he likes to tell. I think of some of the things he's did with Nike, and then looking at that shoe, like the storytelling can be just fantastic when it comes to like the different paneling, the way the shoe's shaped. Just a lot of things can be done with that sneaker.
So kind of like Steph Curry. Well, also kind of not. So Steph is the singularity with Under Armour basketball. There's other people who wear Steph stuff, but he is the sun in which everything rotates around with Under Armour basketball. Anta has Clay. Anta has had other athletes. Yeah, Gordon Hayward. They've had Chandler Parsons in 2015. They've tried a lot of different things, but outside of Clay, Kevin Garnett. But I think a really good comparison, Rajon Rondo. There's a lot of people who have worn Clay.
Just naming dudes.
Baron Davis. But like the point guard position, it's crazy. It's very much like Steph Curry in that sense where I went on that little tangent to explain that there are other shoes and athletes in Anta, but like they're positioning this Kyrie debut like a Steph Curry line debut,
the guy.
which Clay gets ton of fanfare in China. He goes there every summer to debut his new shoe. They love him there. This is being debuted at Anta's like proprietary basketball, think like Red Bull Street Ball basketball tournament, like 3-on-3 basketball stuff they do. But this is all Anta. They're debuting Kyrie's basketball shoe in that venue. And the reason why I emphasize that point is because so many of this press stuff, like Nike having a whole world basketball thing at Lincoln Center, of course it's about basketball too. But this is like Kyrie is a baller. Kyrie will tell you he only cares about hoops. He doesn't care about press perception. He's responsible to go out there and hoop. And when you debut a shoe and bring the athlete and debut it on a basketball court, like in the heat of an actual basketball event, I think it's really just showing it's all about business, right? It's just all about the basketball portion. Kyrie, of course, wants it to get bigger and everything, but you just don't debut this shoe during a live basketball event happening international. It's just so much about the spirit of hoops, which I think so much about Kyrie is. We can hate about so much other things about Kyrie, but if you just get really, really small, right, tone in, and it's him as a basketball player, kind of freaking hard to hate. So it's just like about the sport so much.
So taking that point, taking a step further, think about it. Kyrie's actually debuted this shoe already in the not the Drew League, but what was he playing in? I don't think it was Drew League, was it?
Some pro-am somewhere.
But he was wearing the shoe once the shoe was finished. He was playing in that sneaker after when he was done with all his taped up Nikes. He was playing in the Shockwave 5 already. If you go back to some of those YouTube videos, and of course sneaker YouTube, or not sneaker YouTube, but sneaker Instagram has already taken pictures of him in it. So it's awesome that they actually debuted the sneaker on his foot to say, have you guessing, what is this? Wait, what is this? What is this? What is this? Then we go to a formal meeting at another basketball tournament. So it's really cool. Like you said, keeping in the spirit of hoops, getting back to what it was, is not like, oh, I gotta, I have an influencer wearing this shoe who does nothing to do with basketball, showing it off. But it kept it in the spirit of what it's about, hooping, basketball. And like it was, for us when we were younger, still the age of the internet, of course, right now. But when we would see a new shoe, it was on court. And then you see some advertisement from the athlete, then you go buy it. and it's almost like they kept it in the same vein, that same concept with this debuting, because you saw it in his foot first, just putting in some of these crazy, games together in these pro-ams, which we all know Kyrie to do, and now it's going to show it to the world in this kind of this more large scale setting. So I'm pretty excited for the shoe. I want to try it out. I love performance basketball. Everyone knows that at this point. The new thing is always something I want to put on my foot. So I'm really see what it's all about until we get his actual signature model. A year or two from now?
Yeah, I mean, early returns are good, and it's also one of those things where he's paying homage to, I think, a thing that the three of us especially grew up on, and I don't know what the modern day equivalent of the And One Street Ball Tour is, and maybe it is these pro-ams, because everybody now gets to be their own cameraman, and everybody has that ability to make whatever game they're watching the most important game of the moment. Mm-hmm. The other thing that you guys have mentioned, and it's kind of been a hallmark of this particular episode, is the concept of business, right? And we were also raised on this ideology that athletes want to aspire to follow the Michael Jordan model in terms of sneaker sponsorship and ownership. I think it's flipped a little in the sense that now I think one of the other things that Stephen Curry's done is he's kind of changed the game, because that is probably a more attainable way to get a sneaker sponsorship or advertisement, just because of the fact that he did exactly what Robbie had alluded to. He became the sun. He became the heliocentric approach that is Under Armour basketball. And now if I'm an Anta, if I'm a Li Ning, I would assume that's an easier playbook to follow as opposed to trying to copy and paste from the Jordan playbook. Lastly, what I will say about Kyrie in this sense is the fact that it will come back to what Mike alluded to, which is the performance. Kyrie historically has not been the most durable of players. And let's say this, if there is a similar sea change event happening where, for whatever reason, whenever Curry put those Under Armours on that first year and he led them to the title, if Anta can do that and they can give us not only a full regular season Kyrie but a deep playoff run as well, that's where the legitimacy of the shoe has been established, and that will even set up greater expectations, and rightfully so, for the signature model. Because the way we're talking about this shoe, it's a signature shoe, but it's not. This is a stock offering. It's the Shockwave 5. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are the sneaker historians, there's never been a player that's been associated with the Shockwave line from an Anta perspective, has there?
At least not that they've talked about. I mean, it could be some of those guys who are signed and don't have a SIG, but this is the first time I've ever heard the model, so I think you're right on track.
Likely a Chinese athlete, just to clarify, we're not thinking the U.S. is all heliocentric.
Yeah, for sure.
So likely that somebody on this earth, but in our hemisphere, no. In our league, no. And Rohit, I left that point because this isn't his signature shoe. And in that press conference, he brings up how he's excited to wear the Shockwave 5 until his joints are ready to go. Yeah. And he brings up creators and speaking about the shoe like it's an art piece. He wants people to come in and remix it, add color. I think there's going to be a real push, and I'm very, very curious to see who, if any, name brand people go in this project with him. But that Shockwave 5 has been shown, like Mike was saying, in the Drew League or whatever Pro-Am it was only black, only white. Two very simple colorways. Everything we see here on out on Kyrie's feet on a Shockwave 5, I guarantee you, is going to be something crazy, special. If you just Google Shockwave 5, the colorways they already have out, they can be pretty out there. There's going to be a lot of fun. I think this fun is going to be the best way for me to describe it. But he wants to invite people to work, like FaZe Clan and LeBron. FaZe Clan, come do your whole thing on my silhouette. You want to add an extra swoosh. You want to play around with the materials a little bit. Killer. Go do it, boys. From video games to the hoops. I think you're going to see that same kind of attack plan on these Shockwave 5s all day. And I think it's going to work. It's a cool-looking shoe. I haven't said anything about the shoe personally. Both of you have. I have never worn an Anta. I'm not going to front like I've ever had any interest in wearing one because the interest in my life has been zero. My interest now from seeing Kyrie in this press conference is now up to like a 45. It's not at 50%. I'm not there yet. I mean, if we're talking 100 and over 50 is a threshold of buying, I'm getting close to being interested in buying. If an 80% is a sure I want that and 90% is an insta-cop, 100% is you're gonna murder somebody for the shoe, like whatever,
Allegedly.
right?
Allegedly.
Yeah,
Like a
allegedly.
110, that's going over the top.
So let me
Yeah.
ask you this, Robbie, for the $150 question. I'm assuming that's what the Shockwave costs. What would be the number one thing that would cause you to buy it?
Baby boy, let me tell you this: Shockwave 5 is like 98 to
yeah.
115. I've been saying.
What would cause you, in the immortal words of one Robbie earlier in the episode, to got one to rock and one to stock?
Oof. Well, man, I mean, it working out a little bit because the dark matter is $96. It looks pretty damn good. I'm gonna get a Lifetime Fitness, or an LA Fitness membership here pretty soon. I'll have access to an indoor basketball court for the first time in like 6-7 years. So there actually might be a place for the Shockwave 5. It really does come down to, like you said, how it performs, not how it performs. I'm sure the shoe itself performs fantastic. That's not in question in my book. It's how Kyrie performs. Is he on his best behavior through December? Let's call December the point, right? If he can give me a month and a half, 2.5 months, or 2 months-ish of like good Mavs basketball, and I'm not feeling weird, I won't feel weird about getting this. I don't feel any more weird about wearing this than I would wearing a LaMelo Puma. Really, when I think about it, I don't know why people draw that line. I know I historically did till about 8 seconds ago. So right.
I just found out something. So that link you sent me, Robbie, I thought it was just, there's two versions of this shoe. So there's the Shockwave 5, which is the dark matter, like $90-something. Scroll down, there's a Shockwave 5 Pro that is going to hit you $100 more.
So $190.
Some of them, like, I guess the site we're looking at is a resale site right now, but it is at minimum like $100 more expensive. You have, I guess, an elite version for those who want to, try to compare it to something, looks like.
So I have two things. The first thing is this. Historically, Antas have been expensive, right? Especially with the Way of Wade line. I remember you guys telling me that previously.
That's leading.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
But yes,
Let me go ahead and put myself in timeout after I make this next point. So that sound you hear is thousands of people taking off their headphones and chucking their phone or listening device against the wall.
They're fine. We're human. Tell them it's all right.
No worries. But the other thing, to Robbie's point, right? I was looking at the NBA Christmas schedule because, lo and behold, for a certain demographic of fan, that used to be the day when the new hotness would come out for a sneaker. And lo and behold, who's got that closer spot at 7:30 Pacific? It's the Phoenix Suns with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant against the Dallas Mavericks of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. And we're going to see Nike basketball against a competitor, is how I would say. Whether that competitor's internal, a la Jordan, or it's external.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good place to showcase something. I mean, I hope they bring back a strong Christmas shoe for everybody, but I would love to see what Kyrie does here.
So price is a interesting and important thing to bring up. None of us had before. They're not cheap. Like, for example, let's keep using the Puma stuff. You can probably find a LaMelo right now on sale on footlocker.com for like $75, $90.
Yeah.
They probably retail, I think, $140. All the Dame stuff goes on sale. This cannot go on sale, really. They're trying to bridge an ocean. There has to be a premium on that. I mean, there innately is a premium. It's an export. So I don't know my trade laws that much, but I'm pretty sure there's a higher... Fuck, I'm not even going to try to go down that alley.
No. I was going to say, if there's a Lewis Lid of this podcast, it's you.
Yeah, right. No, but they have to charge that price point. They can't put that shoe on sale. And the same way Ons, like Mike's Cloud Monster, there's $170. That's a pretty expensive shoe when you can get like a Peg 39 or a Peg 40 for like $70, $69 on Nike.com on whatever app deal there's going on right now.
Yeah.
So like incumbents, right? That's somebody coming into a battle, an incumbent.
Yes.
They have to charge top dollar. You have to be not just aspirational, but you have to have a premium price point to match your premium differentiator from the Nikes, Adidas, Pumas of the world.
Yeah, I will. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, apologies. The incumbent is the existing party, so that's the Nike basketball. That's the Jordan.
Ah,
Mike, make a mistake. Join us in the.
I know. I was like, God dang
gallery.
it. So, question though, because clearly I'm not any kind of lawyer or anyone well versed in economics of how we move things, but
And I thought you were Harvey Specter.
I mean, we look alike. But all the stuff that Nike, Adidas, these brands make a lot of these things overseas anyway. Could we see that because it's not this back forth kind of thing, because they're actually starting in China and then shipping over? Could we see competitive pricing, especially if they get let's say they get a Dick's Sporting Wear or Sporting Goods, they get a contract with them to be the, prime supplier of the, Shockwave or the Kyrie products, or, if Foot Locker survives long enough to get the, Kyrie signature, why wouldn't we be able to see it at a decent price? Because, I mean, look at it. It is...
I don't know.
It's not
I would
like
say you can't, though.
With basketball
And
shoes, we're used to a cheap
We're all being
product
Art
anymore. I mean,
Vandelay from Seinfeld.
Well, you're looking at a freaking... What is it? The GT Hustle 2. I mean, $170 off the rip. It's, in lack of better words, it's a team basketball shoe. There's technology in it. Nothing bad about it, but we're looking at $170 off the rip. That's not even a SIG. Then we're going to get into shoes with less technology. I mean, we're looking at Lukas and Jaws, 140, 150, so on and so forth. I feel like they would be able to. They're going to try to push it in America. That's why they got Kyrie. So the goal is to get it here and to sell it. So I would assume we're going to be looking at between a $150 $200 price point. I wouldn't see much more than that. Way of Wade, they didn't push it the right way. They don't have it in stores. But from what I'm seeing, Anta's trying to make that leap to be the next Puma, disrupting, be the next New Balance disrupting basketball.
But I think the big difference here is that disruptor usually comes with an athlete that is on the cusp of their ascendancy. Like, they haven't had that moment yet. The thing that's interesting about this particular case study is Kyrie is an established product. We know who he is. Kyrie is Kyrie. We know what to expect. And that's the thing I'm most interested in, is seeing, how does this work when you have an established person? Because you may not think he's a top 15 player, but he's a top 10 player in terms of popularity and just brand awareness.
Oh, facts. 100% true.
Security is off the roof, out the roof. So, Mike, bringing up the Luka 2. Luka 2 has full-length Formula 23 foam. I believe Formula 23 foam debuted 3 models ago.
Yes, that sounds about
not
right.
even.
It's basically React.
Yeah, right. I mean, the ISO plate foot frame, which is just a launch pad from the old Mellow stuff. It's a carbon fiber shank that every shoe company in the world across every division uses now. So at 130, and don't forget that Cushflon 3.0. For $130, I can't say the Luka 2 is more technologically advanced than the $96 Shockwave 5. Or I bet you the Kyrie Anta 1 at $140, $10 more. I bet you that shoe will have more tech, $10 more tech than the Luka 2. The Luka 2, you're paying for Luka, but above that, you're paying for Mike Jordan. Mike Jordan doesn't make $52,000 a second or whatever the crazy statistic is.
Wild.
By, whatever it is, he doesn't make that by...
As a infamous internet meme once said, fuck them kids.
I was like, this is immediately what I thought of. But, so, me and my buddies were having a conversation the other day about just signature shoes and how they seem pretty low on tech for the newcomers. Only person that probably I feel like have the most tech, and I think it's all based on how long you're playing during the season, Jason Tatum. I think he has the most tech in his shoe right now, which I think the price probably reflects it. Is he 140, 150?
No, I mean... LeBron gets all the bells. LeBron
no.
has the most
He's canceled out. No. LeBron doesn't count. LeBron, KD don't count. They've made their grandfather. Then I'm talking about the new people.
New people. Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about strictly new. Now, the reason I say that is because as you look, the more time you get on the court, the more popular you're getting. Seems like they're putting more tech in those shoes. And I could be wrong. That could just be a coincidence. But when I circle back to another shoe that has no player behind it, it's the shoes I've been wearing from that brand Series Player Only. They are produced in China. They ship overseas. The shoe's $180. Same exact Tech Net Kobe 8 Protro. They're able to get it to their consumers for $180. So if Anta's a bigger company, bigger infrastructure, can get that shoe to America, to consumers for $180 or less, I think they're going to have a winner if Kyrie does what he's supposed to on the court.
That's tough because, I mean, the serious player only stuff looks great. I'm at the hard zero on that personally, just because. I mean, only because it when you have no tie-in, it applies to everybody. But when you have no tie-in, it also kind of applies to no one. So it's tough. But they do
prices only. Only though.
They pack that. They jam that in. Jordan, Nike, Puma, Adidas, New Balance with Kawhi, and the Wavy 3 stuff they're doing with Jamal Murray. They know that people are paying for Jamal Murray. They're not paying for fucking
100%.
fresh foam
100%.
5. They're paying for Dame Line. Well, Dame Line is dirt cheap though. Dame Line uses bounce and is like less than $100 a lot of the time. I mean, the Harden line is really just using Boost, which is going on like how many years old now?
Yeah, they're charging a freaking premium for a Harden right now. It's crazy.
This is a really interesting time because New Balance is really popular because their shoes are techy, right? But they're comfortable. On's a tech shoe, Solomon a tech shoe, Asics a tech shoe, Saucony a tech shoe, the Vomero right now a tech shoe. I would even push the Hot Steppa, the Glide, not Hot Steppa, the new Drake joint.
Glide.
Looks like
Glide, yeah.
Yeah, the Glide. That's a tech shoe. We're in this tech era, and what Anta is going to do is they're going to give you the fucking tech you're looking for, and they're going to give you a top 10 popularity athlete. So it's like, Dame's great. Dame has popularity in the Northwest. Dame is not a top 10 popularity player in the NBA. Definitely not in the world. And Adidas is a global brand. So there's like that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Then you have LeBron and Nike where they're both up here, right? LeBron and KD and Nike both up here. James Harden and Adidas, I would say more like, James Harden's a little lower, but Adidas is top tier. Anta's giving you like a medium low brand where they have
the very
tech,
recognizable athlete,
and you just got to put the shoe on. I'm saying all this, you just got to put the shoe on. I did not want to wear Ons until I just put the shoe on and saw what they did for my feet. This Anta is going to be just like, bro, you mess with Kyrie, you like the way it look, just put the shoe on. See it. And that's going to be the pitch. And it's a good pitch. It's a strong pitch. We're in a time now where people are looking, maybe they're sick of being burnt by Nike so many times. Maybe they're sick of Kanye and how Adidas is being ran. Maybe they're just sick of various reasons of big popular North American brands. Yeah. So this has a real chance right now to be a new incumbent at the right time. It could be the right place, right time, because the S Carter was the wrong place at the wrong time. Like the Reebok, Nike was there was too much singularity, and Reebok was hot in the early 2000s too. Well, not really. They were at the RBK phase, but basically they tried G-Unit, they tried Sean Carter, was not working.
I've been calling it Gun It the whole time.
Gun It. But you know what I'm saying? Like Chris Webber and Dada, they tried. People have tried.
But
I think now is the time to try. No, but I'll say now is the time to try and succeed.
Now is the time to try and succeed because, to your point, and I'll wrap this up, all those things you mentioned are a brief footnote in the timeline that is sneaker history. Shameless plug. Please like, rate, subscribe. I hope Kyrie's the one that does it, because then, in a way, it shows not only a statement of intent from Anta, it also shows some brilliant forecasting, because ultimately it is going to come down to that sweet science that Robbie mentioned, where it's going to have to capture lightning at the right time, or at the right time, at the right place, in the right bottle. And if there's one guy to circumvent any sort of expectations of normalcy, it's Kyrie. So that's why I think there may be a chef's kiss in all of this if we're in the correct timeline.
I'm just gonna see, man. I think right now Robbie said it best. This is the right time to strike, because it seems like people who are taking the leap of faith to jump into sneakers or different types of sneakers right now, they're succeeding. I haven't heard of about a terrible crash and burn yet from anyone. From New Balance jumping back into basketball. Hell, we're about to have Skechers in basketball, if you guys have seen that.
Yeah. Skechers and everything.
Yeah, yes. But you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the perfect time because people are just so, again, if it could be brand fatigue of just seeing the same things over and over again, tired of getting burned by certain brands, but it's just one of those things where this is going to be the time to strike. Even if you don't become the big boy in the sandbox, you're still going to have your own little corner to play in, because you're going to have those people who are loyal to the change, loyal to your player, the brand at a certain point. And that goes, I mean, I think On and Solomon are two perfect examples. Although they're not basketball shoes, they found their little foothold, and they're holding on to it. Like, I see more people wearing those two running shoes or hiking shoes than I would see anybody wearing an ACG I mean, I don't look at, people when I'm running, I don't look at their feet when I'm running, but I see more Ons than I do see Pegasus. You know what I'm saying? And that's probably just what I see, but I feel like people... Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, that's a fantastic... I love that point because the Pegasus and Nike is a running company at its heart, but Nike doesn't special... Outside like the top-end $200 shit, the Pegasus is not a competitive running shoe in the running market. You read any runner's guides, what are the top 5 best running shoes. The Pegasus and Vomero 16, they're not on that list.
No.
The Ons are those foothold grabbing brands. Yeah, those foothold grabbing brands are there. They're fitting the real need. And just put the shoe on, that applies to every brand outside of really 2 situations in modern memory. Big baller brand, completely destroying. But I mean, I'm bringing this up because that shoe allegedly probably ended Lonzo's career.
I was going to say, and then his career as well.
And then this is not. It's a definition of a one-off. The Zion blowing out at Duke. Those are the only 2 times I've heard of a technical shoe across any real sport, and Zion didn't really get hurt. Failing. I ran in probably 10, 15 different models of Ons. I've never had a window crush or blow out. I've never had a LeBron Air Max window blow out on me. Just shoe brands, they don't fail. So if you're afraid like, oh, the Anta stuff is inferior to Nike because yada yada told me so, or I've been so conditioned to think it's inferior to Nike, people aren't blowing their fucking feet out wearing Antas. It's like it's a solid. I never worn it either, so I can't say.
Anyway, either way, like you're not 200 pounds flying 40 feet in the air,
But in 2023, the homogenization of tech, everybody has their foam, everybody has this, everybody has their knit, everybody has their flight plates, everybody has their own takes on really the same core principles, because the same core principles work for fucking human feet. So it's like. The answer is it's probably going to work. It's probably going to be good. Do you hate Kyrie? Yes or no? Are you willing to try something new? Yes or no? And I think that's kind of
that's the entry. Put out.
Yeah. Or do you want to spend $100? Like those are the 3, the Trident spears, of how this shoe will or will not work for you. Do you like the player? Do you like the shoe? Do you want to spend the money?
Yep. Agreed. Yep. Agreed.
Should we just end it? I feel like we've solved sneaker history problems 101 with that last comment.
I think we have solved it. I did want to bring up one last thing because I found it fun. His logo is a shield. Kyrie can be pretty defensive. That's why I wanted to bring that up. But at the root of it...
Off the court. Yes, on the court.
Yes. Yeah, no, not very defensive on the court.
No.
There's 2 Ks facing outward, and you can see the 2 Ks with its number 11 in the middle. Each point has something like strength, hot word on top. But I'm bringing this up because the bottom points, I think it was his mother, his daughter, and his sister, or basically family roots. And go look it up, readers. We don't have the time here. We're hitting the end point of minutes. But go look up the breakdown of his logo. I didn't think it was corny, bro. Like, they're corny hot words, but they picked the right hot words. They broke it all down right. It worked, man. Like, after this conversation and seeing it, we'll have to wait until December to see that primetime matchup with the Phoenix Suns Rohit brought up. If they're hitting and he's hitting and the logo's already hitting for me, like, damn. For $100, I've bought more dumb shit. I've spent $100 on way more dumb shit.
I bought way worse items for $100.
I was going to say, listener, you are listening and looking at the 1992 dream team of dumb shit buyers here with Michael Jordan to my right, Larry Bird to my left, and me being Magic Johnson.
Good. I want to be Patrick Ewing, though. But yeah, it's the same point, though.
Yeah.
It's the same principle,
my office right now, I'm like, I don't need half the scrap in here.
No. But listeners, tell us, do either of those things apply to you? Do you like Kyrie enough to buy the shoe, yes or no? Do you want to try something new enough, yes or no? And is the price right, yes or no? So drop us a comment with those 3 answers. What do you think? Let us know. Rohit's so ready to go. He's just like, peace.
He's like took up instead of running. He's like, I'm out, guys.
Right. Thanks for joining us on this episode, though, guys. If you're watching the simulcast, hope you had fun. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. He's Mike. He's Rohit. I'm Robbie. Like Sneaker History. Peace.
See you.
Tell Russ to go on our show.
Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, do us a solid and head over to Apple Podcasts to leave us a review. Give us a rating on Spotify and Amazon Music, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we have even more video content coming soon. Speaking of new content, we have an amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts that hang out in our Sneaker History Discord on a daily basis. While sneakers is a connection point that brought us all together, we've all discovered countless shared passions that we have in common with each other. We recently launched a couple of new podcasts directly from our community. One of them is a Formula One podcast. If you're an F1 fan like me, the Exhaust Notes podcast is your weekly fix of Formula One fun. It's hosted by myself, Rohit Malhotra, and Todd Yates. New episodes drop every Tuesday. I've been wearing fitted hats for years and collecting my favorite teams since I was a little leaguer. It has been awesome to see so many new fans getting into fitteds in recent years. Crown and Stitch is our new talk show about fitted hats with Dexter, Keith, and myself, where we talk about fitted hats, snapbacks, throw in some obscure hats because we all kind of like some funky stuff once in a while, don't we? Copping, collecting, and so much more. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Hit the links in the show notes for this episode to give our new shows a listen, and be on the lookout for more new podcasts dropping soon. Last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Thank you all for the support, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.